Hey, good morning guys. Today I want to separate out this cactus container. I've had them growing in this hypertufa for about 4 years. You can see it's starting to crack a little bit. I'll just reuse the pot and I'm going to leave this Eve's needles as the center plant in this container. And then the rest of the cactuses I'm going to dig out. Now I'm not sure the name of this one. It's very similar to the rat's tail cactus. So I've got quite a lot of this. So I've got it going all the way across and then on this back side, but you can see how congested everything is. So I picked up this cute little wavy terracotta pot for those, let's call them rat's tail cactuses. Then the thimble cactus I'm going to try and dig out, but I've already popped a lot of the babies off, so I'm just going to do my best with that one. And then of course the ripsalis, that'll be an easy one to remove, and I'm just going to also put that in its own pot. With such wiry roots. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the one root almost wrapped all the way around the pot, but that was an easy dislodging. So I'm going to put that aside. Such a mess. Let me move this a bit. Okay, I got the thimble cactus out in 2 sections. Oh, I tore that one off. That'll be fine. There's another baby. Okay, and then let's get this one out of here. There we go. That one came off in one chunk. 2 down here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm not going to put Eve's needles back in here. And this container is no good. I actually want like a terracotta or just some nice decorative heavy planter. And so I've just popped her in here for now because I don't want her roots to dry out. So I will go to the garden center tomorrow and get her a nice pot. Okay, so I did pop one of these mesh pads into the bottom, just over the drainage hole. And I'm going to fill in a bit of lacquer. Okay, so I've got 3 pretty big sections. I think the very ugly ones I'm going to take off. That one didn't come loose, but this one did. See, this one's ugly, but it's producing pups. I'm just going to take the cute ones off. Should I keep this one? It's making pups, and it's looking yucky. I don't actually want it. You know what I'll do? I'll make a separate pot with all the uglies and see what they do. I've got this piece here. I'm trying to just free the roots up a little bit. think I'm going to stick that one in this side. Okay, this is a bigger piece. Now this one's got a lot of uglies. I think I'm going to use that one last. Let's start with this piece. This one's like really congested, and I'm going to go ahead and take all the dead ones out. Oh yes, now I can see what's going on. So this one's ugly, but I will take those pups off in a minute. So these are quite ugly as well. I don't want any of the ugly grey ones. Oops, I broke that one. Let me pull this apart more. So this is what it looks like today. It's the 7th of September. Okay, the rest I'm just going to pop into this hypertufa. Let me just get a mesh pad over that hole. Okay, so I've stuck all the uglies and the broken off baby bits into the original hypertufa pot. And then I've still got a whole bunch of little babies on the table. So I think I'm just going to get a small terracotta pot and just pot this up. Okay, so this little one's potted up, and I think I have them all done now. And then the little thimble cactus I'm just going to pop in here. The only downfall of splitting this pot up was having gone from one pot to overwinter to multiple pots to home and find space for. Next, I want to address this wire vine topiary. I haven't trained the top for about a month and a half. I wanted the ends to put on a bit of length so I can start taking some tip cuttings in preparation for overwintering. The begonias I am going to save, but I'll leave those in maybe another 3 or 4 weeks. But the rest of the container I won't be bringing in. I'm going to just leave that outside and let it succumb to the weather. Now, because this one turned out so much better than I expected it to, next year I want to make an even bigger one. So I need to figure out making a bigger hoop, but I'm going to only do that next year, February again. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the tip cuttings and get those rooted, and then I am going to train the wire vine probably for the last time this season. So I filled up a jug with lukewarm water, and I'm just going to put some Castile soap into the water. Now, because wire vine is always prone to having aphids, I am going to soak the cuttings just for about 20 minutes, just to make sure they're pest free before I pot them up. Okay, she's all tidied up and looking beautiful again. So I've rinsed the soapy water off of the wire vine, and I did mix up some peat and perlite, so a soilless mix. Oops, and then I do have the rooting powder. I always use rooting powder. And what I'm going to do is just strip off some lower leaves. Oops. Then I'll just group about 5 or 6 of them together. Just going to lay them on top of each other. Like so. And then I'm just going to dunk them into the rooting hormone, and then just push them into the peat moss. Now for the stems that are thinner or finer, I do pre-poke a hole, and I'm just using my scissor today. I usually have a kebab skewer always. Okay, so I've done 8 plugs. I definitely don't need 8. I only need 2 to make the wire vine topiary. But I'm just going to do the 8 and see what makes it. If they all fail, there's more than enough time to go for another round of cuttings. And I'm not even going to put a label in. Today is the 10th of September, so I can always look back at the video. But what I'm going to do is lightly water these in. So I'm just going to place these under lights on a heat mat in my basement. This is the pot that I picked up at the garden center for my Eve's needles. It's a small little concrete urn. It's super heavy, and I like the weight because the taller she gets, the less likely it is that the wind's going to knock her over. And then I'm just going to set her in the middle. I will put one of my drainage screens on, a little bit of lacquer to help with the drainage, fill in some succulent soil, plant her in the center, and then I'm just going to dig some of these rat's tail babies out and pop them in on the sides, and I'll probably just clip off some of these little trailing succulents that I've got standing around. I think I'm just going to put these babies in and around. I think it'll look beautiful having this Eve's needles in the center and then all these little traily succulents over the edge of this concrete planter. So let me quickly get those potted in there. Okay, she's all potted up, and I think it turned out so cute. She looks so good in this concrete urn, and I can't wait for these cute little pups to start putting on some size and like trailing over the edges. It'll look so beautiful. Now, I didn't put any rock around the little cactuses yet. I think because they're so tiny, I need to monitor them more closely just to make sure they don't get too overwatered. But I might add some at a later stage. Next, I want to rehab this string of pearls. So I brought her out in the spring and hung her up under the tree and just completely forgot about her. This back part was facing the hot afternoon sun, so that got completely fried. So I removed that. So I'm just going to get a clean hanging basket with fresh soil, and then I'm just going to take these strands and lay them directly on top of the soil and get them to root in before cutting this part off. Now for the string of pearls, I like to have my soil all the way to the top of the rim, and that just helps them to trail better. I'm going to sprinkle some of this great white powder. Now this is not necessary, it's just something that I'm experimenting with. I could do 2 hanging baskets with this. Maybe I will do that, because then I can just flop the end on here, have another one. Let me get another one. Okay, so I'm just going to flop this piece on here. And then this I'm going to twirl onto that one. Let me just see, this is going to be quite a full basket. Now I could do a third one on this side, or you know what I will do, let me just take this and I'm going to twirl this back onto this hanging basket, so there will be 3 in the making, if that makes sense. So all I need to do is just fan them out so that they are making contact with the soil. The darker ones, the ones that have, you know, their ends dried off and they shriveled up, you could save those. You could put those into sphagnum moss, but I'm not going to be doing that. This one I can curl back in on itself. Okay, I just cleaned the top up, added some more fresh soil on this side, and I'm going to take these strands that are on this side and just twirl them on the surface. I'm not too worried about, mind you, I can tuck these in here. There's also some loose pieces. I might pop that into that side and this one here. There's some of them that are a little bit on the dark side. I'm just going to try and yank those out of here. There, that looks better. Now that one's ugly. Let me just get this one out. There. And now these I'm just going to try and fan out. Now it does look a bit messy right now, but once they root in, they tend to start stooling out on the top. Let me show you on my window box planter. So this is that window box I had showed you guys earlier on in the spring. I had just lay a whole bunch of strands that I had cut off of this container. I just mowed the edges off, and you can see these are finally starting to trail. The mistake I made, I had this hanging in the full shade, and honestly in our area the string of pearls, if you can water them every second day and put them in full sun, they just do so much better. All of the little pots standing here next to me are ones where I just twirled a few strands on the top. And then they've been sitting in sun and getting water every other day, and they're all doing really well. Those two pots, actually all three of those pots, are the variegated one. And even this little guy I had sitting on the wall here, and look how beautifully it's trailing again. Okay, so this is what they look like right now. Some of them aren't touching the surface, but they do shoot out aerial roots that they send down. Like these roots, they'll probably find their way down into the substrate. I think what I'm going to do is just dust a bit more succulent soil over the top, just to get some more of the strands exposed to soil. And then this one, I might still trail some of these loose ones, because this one's a bit sparse. You can see a lot of the soil there. Okay, I'm just going to get a bit of soil. Okay, this is what they look like today. Now we've got about 5 more weeks before our first frost date, so I'm going to leave these outside and give them a chance to root in, and then I'll just show you what they look like once they root in, and also when I separate the 3 pots. I'll just do that in a follow-up video. And then finally, I got this cute little Anthurium at the garden center, dorayaki maybe, and I want to try growing this one in pon. All the other ones that I recently acquired I have growing in a very well draining aroid mix. So I think what I'm going to do is remove all the soil around this root ball. Oh, she's got nice roots. Now once I've got all the soil removed, I am going to rinse these roots off, and then I'm going to put her into a cup of stratum for maybe 3 or 4 weeks until she develops nice water roots. And after that, I'll pop her into some pon in a self-watering container. All right, let me clean this and then rinse her off, and then I'll pot her up. Okay, she's got beautiful roots. I've cleaned them. I think I'm going to quickly spray this plant down front and back and all over with that insecticidal soap from Bonide, and then I'm going to pot her up. Okay, so I did spray her with the soap, and then I'm just going to use 2 plastic cups. I'm going to cut holes in the one for drainage. Oh, I made that too big. The stratum's going to go right through that. Oh well, that's okay. So this is what the stratum bag looks like that I use. I should actually use a bigger cup. Yep, she's too big. Okay, so this is an older cup that I'm just going to reuse. Oh, that's much better. I might cover that one root a little bit as well. Okay, she looks good. Okay, so this is a little bit too full. I don't like the water swimming at the top, so I'm just going to release some of the water. Now you'll see how much is in the cup. It's actually just a little bit in the cup, but then when you place this cup over, it kind of pushes the water all the way up the fluval. There. I like it to be dry on the top like that, but then wet most of the way up. I'm just thinking I can go a little bit more, but not too much. There. So you can see the water lines kind of up to there. So all the roots are submerged, but there's no water really at the top. And then I want to put a date on her tag. Okay, and I'm just going to pop her into my IKEA cabinet.